Hey, wait a minute. It is not. I made this announcement yesterday. I'm streaming today, since I will not be streaming tomorrow through Sunday. What the fuck?
Sure. I know that you and others have talked about how the government is on alert for the potential of a cyber attack, but can you share, like, are there any specific steps that are being taken that you can share that the U.S. is doing to protect the infrastructure, power grid, U.S. banks?
Well, I would say, one, there's been efforts that have been ongoing for some time, since the beginning of the administration, to harden the private sector, or work with the private sector in partnership to harden their cybersecurity protections. We've actually seen a great deal of progress made in the financial sector. It's one of the stronger sectors in terms of protections from a cyber front that we see out there. So it's been.
I'm gonna try and find a louder source.
Obviously, when there are moments like this where we continue to watch and look for what the potential is, we continue to engage closely with a range of industries about what they need to do, about the potential threats, and that's something that happens obviously privately and through a range of agencies. I can see if there's anything more specific that we can
want to live in
Just real quick, one follow-up. President Biden said that the U.S. is prepared if an attack comes. Just real quick, one follow-up. Pardon me. He said prepared to respond. President Biden said that the U.S. is prepared if an attack comes. Would pardon me. He said that
Pretty much offline for the last week or so.
would that response be a?
Not sure why though. Oh,
Yes.
not really sure why you've been pretty much offline for the last week.
Well, I would say that the president reserves the option to respond in any manner of his choosing, overt or covert, seen or unseen, as we like to say in more available English. But I'm not going to get into specifics of what that looks like. He has a range of options. Go ahead.
Thanks.
Yeah, it looks like it's not getting any louder. I just need to turn up my end.
In mind that would trigger another release.
All right, there we go.
I think not that we're going to get into detail or from here, JJ. I understand certainly the question. What you heard the president talk about today, and I can just reiterate a little bit, is that what has been ongoing, both from the president, who's been very engaged in this, having conversations with leaders in the Middle East and other parts of the world, as well as many members of his national security team, taking whatever steps we can to mitigate the impact on the global oil markets. And obviously that means increasing supply. Obviously a coordinated release from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve would be part of it.
It's a hard liquor kind of stream.
That looks like there are specifics. I'm just not in a position to get into more details at this point.
Thanks. If the worst happens and Russia either reduces the flow of natural gas or cuts off energy altogether to Europe, does the administration have a good idea for how long households in Europe could last under that kind of circumstance?
I don't have an assessment of that from here. I can certainly check with our economic team. One thing I will say, that one of the steps we've been taking, obviously natural gas shortages and supply is an enormous regional issue, one that would hugely impact Europe more than here, of course. One of the steps we've been focused on and been taking is engaging with partners who may have excess LNG supply, like countries in Europe, Japan, for example, where we're planning to give them some, and now they're going to divert it to Europe. So we've been working to help mitigate any impact of a further invasion and a shortage in Europe. Go ahead.
Some of the activity that we've seen today in Ukraine, some of the clashes have been in and around Chernobyl. Does the United States have an assessment of the risk of a radioactive release?
So I do have one actual update on that as well.
Why?
There's also a report out, so let me speak to this first, just so I don't forget, about hostages around there as well. So let me speak to that first. We are outraged by credible reports that Russian soldiers are currently holding the staff of the Chernobyl facilities hostage. This unlawful and dangerous hostage taking, which could upend the routine civil service efforts required to maintain and protect the nuclear waste facilities, is obviously incredibly alarming and greatly concerning. We condemn it and we request their release. In terms of
It's up 36% today. Or I'm sorry, 36 bucks. It's up 4.81% today.
President Zelensky, did he indicate if he was still in Kyiv? Did he identify his location at this point?
And curiously, the Dow Jones is up
and we are in touch with them. I would say on that call,
92 points.
What they discussed is President Zelensky's request for the
What is
president
happening, dude?
To condemn the actions of President Putin and the Russians and to engage with other global leaders about it, and that's exactly what he's done.
We've seen a number of statements today from former presidents, President Obama, President Bush, and also saw former President Trump.
Yeah, no kidding, Jess.
Has the president you mentioned
Russia has the gas. Tesla don't need gas.
with his predecessors? Has he been in touch with any of his
I mean-
predecessors during this?
He has not been today.
And then in terms of
Yeah, but we've known that.
was potentially included in his meetings today. Given the situation, his time and focus and attention on the Supreme Court, on Ukraine, will this affect the time?
Hey, Heather?
Supreme Court announcement?
Can you turn that down a bit? I can't hear.
To make an announcement before the end of the month. We have to do a lot of things around here at the same time. Go ahead.
Just to follow up on the cyber attacks and Article 5 question,
Um,
you said that it's up to NATO to decide, but from a U.S. perspective,
Yeah, let me hold on. Because you're Jess, you're in Poland, right?
Article 5, or would there be a measure for what counts?
Again, this is a conversation we would have with our NATO allies and partners. I don't have more, anything in addition to add to it.
And just to follow up on the Supreme
Yeah.
Court, and you said you're on track, but
Poof, man. Is Poland a NATO ally?
Not a final. No job offer has been made. Go ahead.
Just a couple. Are there any concerns or indications at this point that Russia had prepared for the sanctions that you're putting in place and kind of developed preemptively
This could get
ways to
real ugly,
Well,
real fast.
and some of it is hard.
Not to say it hasn't already, but it could get even uglier real fast.
The steps we tried to take is to, as we were contemplating the individuals we were going to sanction, we sanctioned family members as well. Because what we've seen, the tactics they've used in the past is they've moved money around and resources around to family members, and we tried to address that on the front end. In terms of the banking and the financial sector, I mean, it accounts for such a large percentage of how they do business that it would be a difficult thing for them to plan and plot against. And if you look to just even the anticipation of the potential sanctions, as Dilip was mentioning, the ruble is the worst performing currency in the world right now. Their inflation has skyrocketed. So we're even seeing in their markets the anticipated impact even before today.
That's what I've heard. I've also heard the contrary, that like it wouldn't actually make much of a difference. I don't know enough about it, just so you know.
Round given significance.
So feel free to educate me on that matter if you feel like it.
Sanctioning 10 of Russia's financial institutions and these export control measures, which essentially cuts President Putin off from semiconductors and access to a range of technology he wants for the future. Those are difficult things to plan ahead for.
And then I guess secondly, does the administration have any assessment for how China is reacting to this at this point? Whether they are willing to provide support to Russia, how much, and has there been any kind of contact there to kind of attempt to move them off of that support?
Well, in terms of what impact they can have, I mean, China only accounts for about 15% of China and Russia. I'm not sure. You can double check me on this. About 15% of the global economy. If you look at G7 partners in the U.S. and Europe, it's about 50%, right? So they cannot cover what the impact of the sanctions that have been announced in coordination with Europe, how they would impact Russia. I think from our perspective as it relates to China, well, I can't get into the heads of what their thinking is. This is really a moment for China, for any country, to think about what side of history they want to stand on here. And that is certainly...
I think those decisions have already been made.
We would make publicly and privately. I think you saw that Secretary Blinken spoke with his counterpart just a couple of
That
days ago.
decision has already been made. The question is, how do they...
His counterpart, but I don't have jurisdiction of that at this point.
How do they end up on that side of history that they've chosen?
You've been sounding the alarm on this. You've put the sanctions package together, done conducting diplomacy with the Russians and the rest of the world. How did the Ukrainian use that
this is
since they've been initially warned that this was a likelihood? Did they use that time wisely to prepare?
Tell me more about what you mean exactly.
Well, you're seeing reports from the streets in Russia, in Ukraine, of people being surprised. You had obviously local and national leadership in Ukraine telling people to stay calm, to go to work, even the day before the invasion began. So, were they properly prepared, and was there more that they could have done in the lead-up?
Look, I think it's not.
Yeah, I guess I'm fortunate that I obtained my 3080 already. I'm really worried about being able to get GPUs and CPUs right now. I get your point, but yeah.
Particularly constructive for us to give an assessment of that. We have been clear with our European partners 4 months now, and including Ukrainian leadership. So that has been what our focus has been, and we will remain a strong supporter and partner of President Zelensky in Ukraine moving forward. Go ahead.
Following up on the sanction question.
Yeah.
We have heard for weeks that these sanctions were at least in part of a strategy that is based on deterrence as well as prevention. Today, with the president's comment that no one expected the sanctions to prevent anything from happening, moving forward, do you expect this slate of sanctions to prevent any further advancement or aggression from Russia?
Well, I would say that later in the back and forth or the press avail, he also said when asked if sanctions cannot stop President Putin, what penalty can? He said, I didn't say sanctions couldn't stop him, which leads me to believe that's not exactly what he meant. He also went on to say the threat of sanctions and imposing the sanctions and seeing the effect of sanctions are two different things. And the way we look at this, broadly speaking, and Dilip touched on this a little bit, is that we do see them as having a deterrent impact, right? It doesn't mean they're 100% foolproof. But if there's a 95% chance of Russia invading without the threat of sanctions, and there's a 60, I'm making up these percentages just.
What's up, not Nick Cage?
And a 65% chance that they will with them, you're obviously going to go with the threat of sanctions because you want to reduce the threat of an invasion. So there is a deterrent, and we've seen the deterrent impact work at times, right? I'd also note that we are very clear-eyed about the fact that President Putin, not just a few days ago, I mean, he gave the speech a few days ago where he questioned the legitimacy of Ukraine as a sovereign country. He's also talked about how the breakup of the Soviet Union was the worst thing that's happened, that's a paraphrase, in recent, in decades of history. So we are clear-eyed about his ambition, but what the other part of it that we are quite focused on is the consequences. And the way we see it is, as we've touched on a little bit, inflation skyrocketing.
Hey, Nick, I'm just going to ask you a rhetorical question. I don't want the answer, okay? I just want you to think real quick. What was the point of you making that statement? Don't answer. Just think about it.
Yeah.
As well. I mean, the president did also say, let's check in a month, and there has been some questions about time here. It seems like this is a strategy to use these sanctions to put pressure on Russia to eventually discourage them to pull out, or to force them to pull out this advance. So what is the timetable here, you think, for when the Russian government will start actually feeling the impact of these sanctions and possibly pull out?
Well, in many senses, they're already feeling the impact. I mean, look at where the ruble is. Look at where inflation is. Look at where the markets are in Russia. In terms of how Putin will feel the impact, we just sanctioned a range of oligarchs around him. We sanctioned 10 financial institutions. These are all significant, enormous steps that are going to have an impact on him. But in terms of the moment by moment, I can't give you an assessment of that.
Just off topic, there's been a lot of questions about refugees in the region.
Yeah.
For Ukrainians that are in the country,
Yeah.
is the U.S., especially after yesterday, considering TPS or any sort of protection?
That doesn't answer my question, which, by the way, I will remind you, was rhetorical. And I said, don't answer. Just think about it. My question has nothing to do with Putin and what he does or does not know, what he has or has not done, or what he will or will not do. My question was you specifically. What was the point of you making that comment in that tone? And again, don't answer, just think about it.
Time he spent on this speech,
and how he's juggling that with this very busy schedule that you laid out earlier tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So in addition to obviously being very closely engaged and leading the effort on the U.S. response to the Russian military invasion of Ukraine, the president has been working with speechwriters, working with members of his policy team to finalize details of his State of the Union, starting to do some read-throughs, not too many.
Was me saying don't answer that not clear? Why are you asking me if I want you to answer it or not? I'm not asking to have it both ways. I very clearly said multiple times it's a rhetorical question, don't answer it. I just want you to think about why you said what you just said. What was the point of you saying what you said? And I just want you to think about it. Do not answer it.
ABC is reporting that the White House is revamping the COVID strategy now that hospitalizations are on the decline. Should we expect the president to roll that out in the speech next Tuesday?
I don't have any preview for you on timeline or format, but the president has been working and engaged with his COVID team for some time now, and we're making strong progress on moving toward a time when COVID is no longer a crisis. The COVID team has been spending a lot of time and energy, including with the president, working with experts inside and outside government, local public health officials and governors, and this work is broader than one piece of guidance. How we look at it is we're preparing to stay ahead of the virus, protecting our most vulnerable, keeping our country open, and that is going to look at everything from the CDC is obviously reviewing mask guidance, but also.
It's weird that you would say I have despotic outbursts in my fucking stream. By the way, I'm not a despot, okay? I was very clear. And if you'll note, my response level to you is directly correlated with how clearly you're listening and understanding what I'm saying.
Well, we do have, fortunately or unfortunately, a fair amount of experience on providing humanitarian assistance in conflict zones, and we typically work, and USAID specifically has a great deal of experience with that, working with trusted third-party entities, obviously the government, which remains in power, so there's a range of ways that we would provide assistance. In terms of other mechanisms, I don't have anything to predict for you at this point in time.
And then another question for you, and this has been happening while you've been up at the podium.
Okay.
I'm not trying to ambush you, but I wanted to give you a chance to respond. Senator Ted Cruz is speaking at CPAC, and you came up. He called you "quote unquote" peppermint patty, and has encouraged people to boo you. So I wanted to.
Don't tell him I like peppermint patty. So I'm not going to take it too offensively.
What stalemate? To what stalemate are you referring?
So back to the president's comments earlier today. So he did say to give it a month to see if these sanctions work.
Yeah.
However,
Oof.
under Russia's current assault, Ukraine
I know that feeling, Jess.
a month or even weeks. So is it fair to say that he is conceding Ukraine to Putin?
There's nothing about the president's strategy or approach or leadership in the world building a coalition of the majority of countries, in the Western world to stand against.
Can you elaborate?
Putin, that suggests.
What do you mean on the stalemate between the USA and Russia?
Lay out a set of historic sanctions today that will maximize pain on Russia. Yes, as we've conveyed, they're meant to have a squeeze over the course of time, but we're already seeing an impact on the financial markets, on the currency, on inflation in Russia, and there are.
Yeah, chicken. Hello, fam. Obviously, I don't have good thoughts on it. I'm basically looking for more information, more sound offs from potential Russian or Ukrainian civilians. I hope for their safety, although they're obviously at dire risk of harm and or displacement. It's not good, and I think it has the potential to get even uglier very, very quickly.
Support him, who he's leader of Ukraine, the president of Ukraine, but I'm not going to get into security steps.
Okay. There's this talk about a possible forecast for financial pain, particularly at the.
I think that is what I think NATO and NATO allies are trying to be incredibly sensitive about, Jess. I think you're right in that respect. We don't want nuclear powers fighting one another. That's a bad idea, right? No, what's the Russian news saying right now, Gav? Russia has invaded Ukraine. The Russian president has declared that he will have the ultimate retaliation if NATO boots are on the ground. True. Therefore, the U.S. responded with the only option it has. Well, it's not the only option it has. It's the only option it wants to exercise right now, which is, financial sanctions. Right. So what's the stalemate at the moment? Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. I just wanted to confirm that's what you were talking about, Gavin. Yeah, the Russian news, including Putin, I believe, are literally arguing that Ukraine are the aggressors, which is just batshit insane. The only way that message is attempting to appeal to the people who don't pay any fucking attention to politics and what's going on. By the way, this is a part of why I will always say, until the day I die, that we all, American or otherwise, need to pay more attention to what's going on politically. Because it doesn't take that much of a commitment to educating yourself in what's going on to realize that Russian propaganda that Ukraine are the aggressors in this situation is just outright bullshit. Like, it doesn't take an investigation to resolve this. It's just flat bullshit. Well, I guess that's that. Let's put some lo-fi on. Fuck me. It is fucking wild. Yeah, it is wild. So the problem right now, as far as I understand, is Putin made a clear but not clear threat that at least implicates some sort of nuclear response. Because he said, if anyone attacks Russia, Russia will respond with like in a way that like we have not seen in history. It's like literally what he said. Yeah, the consequences will be worse than you imagine. Something to that effect, yeah. Which then, like, obviously brings up, is he talking about a nuclear response? We don't know. Now, here's the thing. It cannot be said that Putin is not incredibly careful with his words and what he does and does not say. So I would imagine it was intentionally vague. And that is bad. I mean, dude, even the United States uses tons of propaganda to justify things they have done. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, our history classes are basically bullshit. Yeah, I know. But the problem is there are certain individuals, and this is how history has repeated itself since time immemorial, as far as we know. There are individuals who are just not going to listen to what the majority would argue is reason. So I mean, I think it is obviously incredibly important to attempt as many, or make as many attempts at conflict resolution as possible, sure. But the problem is, at the end of the day, if Putin doesn't give a fuck about any threats or any attempts to resolve things, what do? That's where I think we're heading, right? What do you do when we impose even severe financial sanctions and he goes, don't give a shit? That's fucking scary, right? Because then it's almost like, does someone use nuclear power on the attack or as a preemptively defensive move? I don't know. I think Russia, if any country, really should want as little wars they can have. What do you mean? Well, but so that's part of the problem, Paul. If I had to guess, you're right. I think you're right that Russia's been through hell war-wise, and I think that may be what prompts further wars, right? Because if they get decimated in conflict, they're gonna want to aggress and try and take back what they lost in prior conflict. Which is, by the way, like, as far as I understand, exactly what Putin is doing right now. He's basically trying to reclaim the land of the Soviet Union. It's not about the being a good or bad person. He inherited a fallen empire, and he was indoctrinated into believing this country is supposed to have a specific geopolitical power. He was not indoctrinated into that power hunger. I mean, like, there comes a sort of turning point in any person's life, okay, where they make a decision, knowing the likely consequences, or even the undoubted consequences. I think at this point it's easy enough for any reasonable person to say Putin is not a good person. I mean, Russia, I truly believe, is a country that can't be beat till it's taken off the planet. I mean, maybe. I think the reasoning behind it at first was that Eastern Ukraine had mostly Russian-speaking folks, but by that reason, Poland should invade the U.S. because 3 million Poles. Yeah, so that is the argument. And that, by the way, this is not the first time this argument has been presented throughout history, right? So it was the Luhansk and the Donetsk regions of Ukraine were basically separatist regions. Hey, Rashid. You know what? Nick, you have to stop with this, you other this. You really got to stop doing that. Because you do realize what I could do is then turn around and respond to what you just said by saying, yeah, and you speak from a twisted fucking Eastern point of view. What's the point of that? I know indoctrination is a real thing. I'm aware. But at this point, what is the good thing that, and I'm genuinely asking, what is the good thing that Putin is trying to get out of this? For anyone beyond himself, by the way. Like, what is the actual aim? Maybe, sure. And what about trying to make your country a superpower in this manner makes this person, in any sense, arguably a good power? And by the way, the United States did it the wrong way too, so don't even fucking whataboutism that argument. NATO stalled on a response, and I think Russia is taking the approach of, instead of having NATO take Ukraine, just make Ukraine Russia. NATO stalled on a response to what? This is good stuff. Like, I'm actually, like I said earlier, I don't know that much about everything that's going on, so I'm open to learning things. Russia closer to Poland and other former Soviet states. Yeah, so I mean, so that all sounds like it's the same thing. Like, it didn't. I don't think it really mattered whether there was this NATO designation. If I'm just sort of like speculating wildly here, I would say it doesn't really matter what the NATO designation is. It's specifically what land belonged to the Soviet Union. And how do we take that land back? The only country taking over Poland I wouldn't mind is Czech Republic. I don't even know why you're saying that. Yeah. The United States have done their share of bad things, but it doesn't even come close to the atrocities that were committed in the USSR. I mean, sure, okay. Russia asked NATO to promise Ukraine wouldn't be a part of NATO. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that sounds understandable, right? So Russia asked NATO to promise that Ukraine would not become a part of NATO, and NATO hadn't responded yet, and Putin got impatient. Seems possible, sure. Czechs are the most chill Slavs on the planet. That's why. Okay, all right. But they would still be taking over your country, right? Oh yeah, I know. By the way, that's one of the best things you can do when talking about a conflict like this is pull up a map. Look at the area you're dealing with. So we got from like here to here. Yeah, I've also seen that. Apparently, what was it, in St. Petersburg? I don't know if there's any... Yeah, in St. Petersburg, there are massive protests going on. I don't know, is St... Yeah. Sorry, yeah, that's right. I'm looking in fucking Ukraine like an idiot. Yeah. So right up here, apparently, there are some mass protests to everything that's going on right now. I mean, yeah, but it's Czech Republic. They're chill. Just get some of that sea border, matey. No problem with my... Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, shit. Yeah, so then I guess, then the question becomes, why did Putin not just wait for NATO to respond with a definitive answer as to whether they will become, whether Ukraine will become a part of Poland or not? Wait, FYI chat? FYI, St. Pete is the fancy part of Russia. Arguably, Russia upper class lived there. Okay. Yeah, so it's like all of this area. Right? No, I know they're not. It's not what I'm saying. Like, aren't there discussions on, or I guess weren't there discussions ongoing to determine whether Ukraine would or would not become a part of NATO? Well, it's definitely a power move, right, Gavin? Well, less retaliation up front, potentially, sure, right? But if Russia starts messing with any NATO country, I mean, it's basically balls to the wall. Yeah, I remember you asking that, and I also read your message out and asked, so what's the stalemate that you're talking about? You explained some stuff about what they had done. What is the stalemate you're talking about? Ukraine was basically a puppet state of Russia until the recent elections that probably pissed Putin off the most. Probably, sure. As for the media making this seem like all like World War III is going to happen, I don't believe in that. Why do you not believe in that? I think it is particularly hilarious that you just said you specifically inferred. Yeah, I think you should try and do way better when you're talking to someone in a text chat format than a specific inference, Nick. Speak with a little bit more clarity in your words, please. And so to answer that, I was actually just talking to Heather about this very briefly before coming on. There's no way Putin was unaware of the types of sanctions that would be levied against him when these moves started to be made. You don't make a decision to effectively start a war with that stupid of a perspective. So yeah, I think the reason they're not doing anything is because he already knew they were coming, and he's like, yeah, no, it's cool, I accept that. The question is, at what point are the sanctions or is the response, whether that be country specific or on a global scale, strong enough to get Putin to stop? And I think because of nuclear power, we need to be very careful about towing that line or finding that line. You think World War III and nuking stuff is fear-mongering? Why, right? Okay, so let me read further. The chance is always there, but truly I don't think it'll happen. No country, no matter who you are, would benefit from it overall. I think that really depends. A lot of people think that Putin didn't realize the scale of the sanctions. Maybe he didn't think this many countries would unite against him. That's entirely possible. Yeah, that's entirely possible. I don't know that to be true, okay? So let's all be clear here, because we're armchair, generals and commanders right now with our fucking opinions. I don't know. It is possible, but it's also possible that he knew this many countries would unite against him, and it's not that he's in too deep, but he's like, yeah, no, I'm still going full steam ahead. I don't give a fuck. I knew this was going to be the response, and here I'm going. I think it'll go as far as it can without the retaliation getting too bad. I'm sure that was said in the midst of numerous prior wars, but yeah, that particular issue remains to be seen. He has all the judicial experts at his side. What do you mean? He used the nuclear power as a scare tactic because that's what the worst outcome is, and he has capabilities for that, but if he does that, others will too. Yeah. That sounds about right. Yes. And then what Gavin just said is exactly what is scary about this situation. So you call the threat of nuclear warfare fear-mongering. It is entirely possible. Keep in mind, it only takes one actual lunatic. One actual lunatic to push that button. Yeah, you're right, Jess. Apparently they're doing a decent job holding off. Exactly, chicken. How does he know he can't win it? See, this is so you're making like some really, really absolute statements, and I would be careful about making such absolute statements. You say like, oh, well, you know, it doesn't make sense that he would start a war he knows he can't win. You don't know that he knows he can't win it. You don't know that he can't win it. As a matter of fact, there's a lot we don't know, which is why there are so many people talking right out of their asses all over the place about this situation. And I think that's a bad idea. Okay, well, all right. Okay. All right, 1 versus 4. I would technically have to like look and verify that, but I'll give you that one, Jess. Okay, maybe 4 lunatics. Okay. But by the way, I don't know if you noticed, but it seems like the lunatics are starting to group up with one another. Just saying. Also, keep in mind, Trump was playing buddy-buddy with Putin and Kim, right? I'm just saying. It seems like the lunatics have begun to amass. Yeah. Yeah, so one of the other things that I think is a little bit unsettling about this whole situation as it has unfolded today. You're not wrong, Gavin. You are not wrong. Apparently, Russian forces have taken Chernobyl. So that's something, which is, by the way, it's I think, oh, hold on, it's the like closest to Kiev. You think Joe asked Putin straight up what he wants? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's the first question. I think that is literally the first question. What do you want? What is your aim here? I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying they only attacked Ukraine instead of somewhere else because they aren't part of NATO and there isn't for sure protection for Ukraine. Listen, you don't know if this is just stop one along the way. That's the problem. We don't know that they only decided to attack Ukraine and they will only attack Ukraine. And then once they are done with that, they will be done. We don't know that. Again, we got to go back to the fact that Ukraine was not the only land that was once the Soviet Union's land. And you look at, like, these are the areas, basically. Like, this whole thing. You think Joe will divide Europe like Europe was divided prior to the Cold War? So let me just clarify. When you say Joe, you're talking about Biden, right? How would Biden divide Europe? There you go, Gavin. Nobody would budge if Joe drew the line. What are you talking about? What do you mean? Flesh that one out further. What do you mean? I was just hoping we wouldn't live in a time where peace in Europe was gone. That's official. Well, it's officially gone. Or if not, I mean, if not officially, it might as well be. I'm saying that Europe was divided after World War II, hence why Churchill said there's an iron curtain over Europe. I'm afraid Putin will want the same thing to happen. Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know that I would make the argument that Biden divided Europe. I think if we want to try and figure out who divided anything, you should probably look first to the aggressor. I mean, as much as I don't think Russia may stand much of a chance against its opposition overall, history shows Russia is one of the hardest countries to defeat, and it hasn't really been done. No, I know you're not saying Joe divided it back then. I know that. Yeah, but in what sense do you think he's in the position to do it now? And for the record, I'm asking this because the reason I'm asking these questions is because I may not have enough I may not have enough information to understand really what you're asking. So I'm trying to eke out more information that might help me better answer the question or give my sort of, random shot in the dark prediction. That's not an answer. Oy. I do wish I could scroll past like one post on social media that's not about this though. There are plenty of posts, but I think it's pretty obvious just how monumentally important this situation is. I think it warrants some attention. I think it warrants a lot of attention, if I'm being honest. He has to do what's best for the United States of America. He will always put the greater good of America and then NATO. Perhaps. Again, how would he divide Europe? None of what you're saying is answering that. Try to answer clearly and concisely. How exactly would he divide Europe? Okay, I'm afraid a line will be drawn and people will be on Russia's side without them wanting to be on Russia's side. Frankly, I'm just gonna be honest. I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. We talking about? I'm trying to piece this together with every new message you send. Well, that's not gonna happen. We're not gonna have another Berlin Wall. I mean, are we talking about like a Berlin Wall straight through the middle of Europe? Yeah, I don't know. I'm still trying to understand what you're asking. Are you asking how I was and what gives him the power to draw a line? I don't know what you mean about the how I was part. But yeah, like I don't even know what line you're talking about. That's why I'm trying to eke out, like, what specifically are you saying? What line are we talking about? What is the nature of this line? I'm saying I think Putin will, in a sense, blackmail Joe with the threat of nuclear Armageddon if certain regions are not surrendered to him. Oh, no, it's all good, chicken. So are you asking what gives him the power to divide a country that has nothing to do with the U.S.? No, I am quite literally first asking, what line do you think is going to be drawn? Like, so, okay, so if I had to guess, he might have or might ask for land. He might have already asked for more land. But if I had to guess, he asked that knowing the answer was going to be no. So he could then say, well, look, they said no. So, you know, we want to take it and we're going to take it. Yeah, it's entirely possible that Putin just wants to take, like, all of that shit. Yeah. But I'm not sure how that means Biden is drawing a line. I think it sounds to me like Putin is drawing the line. It sounds to me like, if I had to guess, he's drawn that line already. Holy shit. All right. Yeah, so the real question, I think... No, it's Heather making a bunch of noise. Because she has no idea how to be quiet. Her family has no idea how to be quiet, for the record. Joe will have to keep him in check. I don't think you can keep in check the uncheckable. So the question is, what does Putin want and how resolute is he in getting that? That's how, this is how wars happen. So I can't give you an answer, right? Wars generally happen because neither side is willing to move and both sides are in conflict with the others. I don't think it's about keeping him in check. I think it's about saying, no, we're not going to do that. And the question being, how far does the aggressor, Putin, want to go? Yeah, plus that, Joe Biden is not the only person determining what happens next. He's not making all of the decisions. He did not get elected for nothing. He has merit. Who are you talking about? Okay, so now that we've established who you're talking about, who said he got elected for nothing, and who said he has no merit? He's the one with the football suitcase? What the fuck does that mean? is this a term that I haven't heard before? Football suitcase? You talk. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. So the nuclear football, gotcha. The nuclear football suitcase or the nuclear briefcase. Football suitcase doesn't tell me anything. Okay, now that I know what you mean, I mean, he's the one who has the codes for the United States' nuclear armaments. Sure. And actually, I don't even think it's literally him, but someone who holds it for him. But yeah, someone carries it for him. So there are rotating military aides that carry the codes. It's funny because during January 6th, the rioters actually came incredibly close to the particular aide who was carrying that fucking briefcase inside the Capitol. Bonkers how close we got in that situation, right? And now here we are. So again, yeah, I think that again, we can only go up to the point where we tell Putin, listen, at this point, we are going to respond with nuclear force. That's it. Like, if you go beyond this point, you're not giving us a choice. So again, I think ultimately this all comes down to what does Putin want and how resolute is he in getting it? Yeah. That's a part of why it's a incredibly concerning situation. Yeah, what's up, Flix? Flix, can you remind me where you are from? I want to do a region check real quick. I can't fucking remember because it's been so long since we talked about it. So who wanted to speedrun Fallout any percent? No. Nope. 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 I don't know if that was a joke or a meme or what have you, but nope. Nope. Not doing jokes or memes about this situation. Indonesia. Where, I gotta remember where the fuck. Oh God. I'll just type it in. Oh, fuck. Oh, okay. All right. Good. So you were like, well, at least as far as we know right now, you are well outside of any potential danger with what's going on. That's good to know. I just wanted to verify since it's been so long since we talked about it. Hope you're doing well, Flix. Yeah. This is so fucked. And I actually want to talk about something else that is tangentially related to this. But let me, I'm doing okay, Flix. I don't do well when this type of stuff is going on. This is really concerning to me, and this actually touches on what I want to bring up next. I can understand the fear, not to rise to the level of fear mongering, but I think there is very real reason to be concerned, if not fearful, in these times particularly. So let me go to the bathroom. Let me refresh my drink real quick, and then I'll be right back, and we'll get into the other thing I wanted to talk about real quick. So nobody go anywhere. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay. Yeah, what the fuck is this Elden Ring thing? Anyways. I haven't looked into it at all. All I want to do is play the Lego game, but Putin had to freak it up. Yep. True, yeah. Basically open world Dark Souls. What did... Alright, so who owes who a Coke, huh? We need to figure out who actually sent that message first. That is crazy. Okay. So to get to the other thing that I'm really conflicted about, like I'm just more so polling everybody here. What's your perspective, or like how do you personally feel about playing any like shooter games or war games given the current state of events? This was something I thought about today, and I'm not I haven't landed on either side of this fence, but it does make me uncomfortable. And I'm not sure why. Yeah, oh yeah. I remember you saying that. Yeah. Yeah, how do you feel about it? What do you think it feels like a prelude to? Yeah. Yeah, that's basically where I am, Jess. I'm just conflicted. You know, like I mean, I kind of want to play either Halo or Valorant, but also I don't know. It just feels weird to me. I don't know, and it's interesting to me. First off, Allie, welcome. Holy shit, it's been forever. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, you're right. The escapism of games became no longer an escape, and it is uncomfortable. And I think that was an inevitability if you think about how much we have pushed to make video games as realistic as possible. I have waged so many wars in the video games to the point where one fought IRL feels like the next step. Yeah, it's like desensitizing, right? Yeah, same here, Allie. I appreciate you stopping in. I hope you've been well, at least before this stuff started to happen. It's hard for me to be on the internet because I just like I want to be aware of what's going on. I want to be informed, but also like so much of what I'm being exposed to and exposing myself to, because I know I have agency here, is just incredibly disturbing and uncomfortable. And for me, being someone who is a more empathic or empathetic person, it generally hits me pretty fucking hard. And I haven't fully processed everything that's going on now, and that might be because I don't know how bad it can still get. I mean, I do, but I don't, you know? That is true, Jess. I specifically wanted to stop in because of this stuff. Haven't had people to talk to about it. Let's talk. I'm here for it. I hope not, Flix. I think it is technically possible, and that concerns me. But what also concerns me even further is that it might not just be Russia and the US going back and forth. Yeah, exactly, Jess. That also makes me really uncomfortable. I'm definitely not happy with the fact that someone I personally enjoy having within my community is so proximally close to this shit. That's more of the stuff that just like, it just makes me uncomfortable. Yeah. And, you know, like I know Ukraine is basically calling on any civilian who can hold a gun at this point to report and gather a weapon, which is just that's insane to me. Jess, can you, like, as far as, you know, what we're looking at right now, can you tell us, like, generally where you are in Poland? Like, I'm not trying to have you dox yourself, but can you just give us a general idea? Somewhere half the way between Warsaw and God damn it. Okay. Christ. All right. So you're right around here-ish. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, unfortunately, something like this is always just a matter of time. You know? Like, you're going to end up with the wrong person in power who is absolutely unwilling to hear the voice of reason, even if the entire planet is giving that voice of reason, or at least the majority of the planet. And this is the type of thing that happens. And, you know, especially given that nuclear power is implicated here. I mean, it's, I don't know. It's nuts. It's nuts. I don't know what to do here or what to say here. Yeah. And even then, that might not do it, right? Because What if we were to get an alien threat and half of the country, half of the planet is trying to figure out how to avoid or alleviate that threat, and what if the other half of the world is like, wait a second, how do we get on the alien side here? You know, I think an alien threat could potentially be the most likely thing to unite humanity as a whole. But frankly, given all that history has shown us, I wouldn't be surprised if humans fucked that up too. I can't believe Biden. What? Thank you. Like Biden is a disgrace is trending on Twitter right now. Unfucking believable. We would probably say something dumb, get canceled, and hit by a gamma ray burst cannon from an alien carrier ship. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. Just piss them off with our dumb, stupid, feeble brains. I'm afraid yet again that it would be the case of mass genocide either on our part or their part. I don't know that it would result in mass genocide. Like, so I mean, this is a matter of, well, I mean, maybe. Can you flesh out what you mean when you say the case of mass genocide either on our part or their part a little bit more, Nick? I want to try and understand what you mean by that a little bit better. I think one of the worst things I've seen today is people who are sympathizing and agreeing with Putin. Yeah. It's, I mean, here, ultimate litmus test, right? Just make a post. Pick Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. I don't give a shit. And like, ask your followers. Anyone sympathize with or agree with Putin in any sense? And then you take those people and yeet them the fuck out of your profile. All right. So, again, you're being unclear. So I'm gonna ask you, who's them? Either we will try to kill all of them. Who is them? What? Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, you were talking about aliens, gotcha. Yeah, probably. Yeah, in that situation, probably, yeah. That would probably be the end of one of those species, whether it be the alien species or the human species, or whatever the fuck you want to call them, the alien race or the human race. FaceTime, I wondered for a bit, what if looking for life as we know it is the main reason why we can't find it? What if life can exist without oxygen or water? Man, I love space. Yeah, those are perfectly good questions, perfectly valid questions. I don't know how far into space talk I want to go, though, at the moment. I think I'd rather stay with currently occurring events. Yeah. Luckily, my dog has no concept of what's happening and has been having a lovely day. That's awesome. Yeah. Fortunately, our cats are equally ignorant and for the best, I'm sure.
To take. Cecilia Vega, ABC.
Sir, sanctions clearly have not been enough to deter Vladimir Putin to this point. What is going to stop him? How and when does this end? And do you see him trying to go beyond Ukraine? And a second question I'll just give to you now. This statement that he gave last night, the threat that he gave, the West will face consequences greater than any you have faced in history. Is he threatening a nuclear strike?
I have no idea what he's threatening. I know what he has done, number one. And number two, no one expected the sanctions to prevent anything from happening. This is going to take time, and we have to show resolve so he knows what's coming. And so the people of Russia know what he's brought on them.
Relax, Nick.
That's what this is all about. This is going to take time. It's not going to occur. He's going to say, oh my God, these sanctions are coming. I'm going to stand down. He's going to test the resolve of the West to see if we stay together. And we will. We will, and it will impose significant costs on him.
So this is what I hate about Twitter, okay? So this response right here, pretty neutral. This is a factual account. Yeah, it is startling that we don't know if Putin intends to actually engage nuclear force. And then this idiot says, wow, and he thinks it's funny. No, he doesn't. What did you gather out of that clip that made you come to the conclusion that he thinks this is funny? And wait, I just saw it. Where was it? Thank God, Trump. Let's see. This has got to be a bunch of bullshit accounts, mostly, if I had to guess. I don't know. Everything is wrong. We're living in a simulation. Actually, I would like to go back into the Matrix right now. Yeah, it's that time aspect that is also so anxiety provoking. Exactly. Yeah. At best, that person deduced a chuckle as he thinks it's funny. Which is, if you listen to what he's saying for more than just the 2 seconds where you think he chuckled, you realize that he doesn't think any of this is funny. It's just brain dead. Also, keep in mind, right, that a lot of people, as a matter of defense mechanism, like chuckle or smile or laugh at incredibly sad or unfortunate things. I've done that before. Not obviously not because I thought it was funny, but it was because my immediate response was, "What the fuck? That happened?" Yeah, in disbelief. Yeah. Then when the belief sets in, it's not funny. Yeah, yeah. I know, I like that clicked in my head like as I was saying it, so I was trying to like remarry what I was saying to what you said, Allie. Oh man, I don't know. I'm just like, I was so uncomfortable all day at work. It's really hard to focus, for me particularly at least, when stuff like this is going on. You know, I would almost say if it's just lunatic authoritarian leaders fighting one another, I would say, you know, have at it. But the implications go so far beyond just those people, and it's just sad. I mean, civilians, you know, like everyone even outside of those countries, and in terms of like look what the stock markets across the planet are doing, look what the supply chains are doing right now. This is just a disaster. And what's really, really frustrating to me is that so many people will blame a single person for the disasters we're experiencing right now. Like, does that make you feel better? To just give an obviously stupid perspective? Is it just a cope? What do you mean? We've got like pretty widespread supply chain issues, like with certain metals. I mean, materials across the board, goods across the board. Yeah, inflation's another thing. Yeah, I mean, you know, the inflation is already here in some respect. It's another one of these, how bad will it get questions. And those are such fun questions to answer. You look at, like, actually, as Jess was saying earlier, GPUs and CPUs with like Taiwan, for example, because that conflict has been going on as well, and that conflict is technically implicated by what's going on here, at least in some sense, I guess. And then what happens if like things actually do start escalating significantly? Elevation? What? I mean, if we get to the point where, aside from the imposition of sanctions and the deployment of troops to surrounding areas, if not actually Ukraine, goes beyond that to where we are actually like actively involved in the conflict. And even further, if other countries on a broad scale become involved in this conflict. That's what I mean by escalating significantly. Because if that's the case, I mean, this type of thing can, I mean, it can affect supply chains across the planet, right? It depends on where the conflict is going, what's the nature of the conflict, are there bombings and things, are there restrictions on travel, all this type of stuff. Okay, so let's think. What could change if the world had only 3 powers? The US, China, and Russia. I don't know that anything would change. I mean, in actual substance. Yeah, I mean, I guess in terms of leverage or military power, sure. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm genuinely not sure. Okay. I don't think something like that is actually too far-fetched. So it's an interesting thing that you asked that. So we are whether you like it or not, I personally believe we're inching ever closer to a globalist outlook on things. The reason I say that is because of things like imports and exports. Things like this right here, where you and I can engage with one another from all sorts of different points across the planet. Wait, I'm saying, could Russia enact laws for Germany, France, and the rest of Europe if somehow, some way, the United States had to pull all of their resources from Europe? What are you saying? Why'd you say hi, Viper, right there? I'm reading your message. What? Yes, we are engaging. Yes, I did. Okay. No, I mean, how is Russia going to enact laws for Germany and France so long as Germany and France are sovereign nations with, you know, their own governments and laws and things like that? Yeah, me saying that we were engaging didn't require you to say anything. You didn't need to make the joke. That's what threw me off. I wasn't expecting you to make a joke about that. So, if we're talking on a more broad general time frame, if lines were to be drawn and Russia somehow got the whole of Europe, as in like Russia now controls all of Europe, then yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, Russia is going to enact laws for all of Europe. But I don't know how that happens. But for the destruction of what we actually understand to be these countries. You know, Europe is not like the United States. It's, you know, in terms of like the European Union, I guess, it's similar in appearance, but like it's just not the same thing to say like we've got. Well, yeah, I mean, as I try and flesh this out, I guess what you're thinking is more like to compare it to American structure, like federal laws that the United States government applies to all 50 states. So are you saying like, supposing Russia were to gain control over all of these countries and be able to write, they wouldn't really be federal, but like national or international laws applicable to every country within Europe? I mean, maybe, sure. Yeah, even like, it's funny you say something about the ISS, because I think there was just something about discussion of United States and Russian astronauts, like basically going about business as usual. Well, I don't know that they can make that legislation, but I don't know that they can't either. I'm not particularly versed in European law or structure when it comes to laws. You know, I'm just some dumb old American. But I don't know that like this United States fuck off, we want Europe thing makes any sense to me, because I don't think, I mean, aside from trade, I don't think the United States has a vested interest in taking over any part of Europe, right? I mean, we're all the way across the pond over here. What are we gonna do with this from all the way over here? I'm just not sure I see the motivation. So I don't know that that's really the issue. Hmm. The United States is the leader of NATO. Uh-huh. But I believe Russia's goal is to eliminate NATO as an institution. Okay. Hold on. North Atlantic Treaty Organization, also known as the North Atlantic Alliance, intergovernmental military alliance between 28 European countries and 2 North American countries. Founders: United States, United Kingdom, France, Italy, Norway, more. I mean, I guess like the United States may be like the appointed figurehead, I guess. All right, hold on. Let me do a little bit of reading here. Shut up. Education time. So, NATO military alliance established by the North Atlantic Treaty, also called the Washington Treaty, April 4th, 1949. Sought to create a counterweight to Soviet armies stationed in Central and Eastern Europe after World War II. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Original members were Belgium, Canada, Denmark, France, Iceland, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, United Kingdom, United States. The heart of NATO is expressed in Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty, in which the signatory members agree that an armed attack against one or more of them in Europe or North America shall be considered an attack against them all. I'm saying that the alliance would not have happened if it wasn't backed by the Americans. Oh, well, that's not... Dude. The United States is the leader of NATO is not the same thing as the alliance would not have happened if it wasn't backed by Americans. I'm trying to figure out in my engagements with you, Nick, specifically, like in good faith, whether there is some actual like cultural communication barrier here. Because I've only ever had as much of an issue with it, like understanding things as I am with you. So I'm trying to figure out like if there's some way for me to actually figure out what you are trying to say from your perspective without me having to ask. And I'm not sure, maybe there is no answer to that. Maybe I just need to continuously ask you to clarify. But I do find it curious that I'm only having this struggle with you so far. So my perspective or my response to what you just said is saying the United States is the leader of NATO is not the same thing as saying the alliance would not have happened if it wasn't backed by the Americans. So if that's what you were actually trying to say, that's what you should say the first time. Like, get to the point. I don't know, man. I'm conflicted on this as well. Jesus. Anyways. Yeah. Somewhere around 1949. Okay. So is the ultimate question if Putin wanted NATO gone, would the United States allow that? Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, I think that's more in line with what you just said. No, I don't think the United States would back away from that. No. After World War II in 1945, Western Europe was economically exhausted and militarily weak. The Western Allies had rapidly and drastically reduced their armies at the end of the war. And newly powerful communist parties had arisen in France and Italy. Even if it was to prevent nukes? Yeah, no, I don't. The reason I say that is I don't think that's how you prevent nukes. I think if it ultimately comes down to it, and I could be wrong, but if it ultimately comes down to it, the threat of nuclear force must be met with a game of chicken. Where you call that bluff. I mean, even if it ultimately turns out not to be a bluff, I don't know that you just like give it up, because if so, the problem with that is if we set that precedent where a nuclear power threatens nuclear power, and then the opposition to that threatened nuclear power caves for the sake of avoiding the exercise of that nuclear power, the first aggressing nuclear power is now going to use the threat of nuclear power across the board to do the same thing, right? I know. That's what is so scary about this. Not to fearmonger, okay? I am not a fearmongerer. But nuclear force is the most significant threat we have. It's not fear-mongering to address just how significant of a fear that is. It's just realism. Like, it's just being realistic. So that's a part of the problem with like humanity, like humans' creation of nuclear weaponry in the first place, which was an inevitability, by the way. Like, I'm not trying to argue that, you know, but the problem is now that we have it, you can't cave to it. You either don't have it already, and any nuclear power that decides to, you know, take your position is just going to do that unless they're met with an equal and opposing nuclear force. I think that might very well be where we are here. Maybe Putin's hope is that I'm just going to seemingly be a deranged lunatic and get people to cave to my nuclear threat. But again, the problem is once that is done, that same nuclear threat is just going to keep being presented over and over and over again. Yeah, exactly. That is the scariest threat for all of humanity. Exactly. Super uncomfortable. Maybe. Right? If someone, I mean, this is, so, all right. Here's what this is like. All right. You're at the very beginning of a poker game. And everyone has the same amount of money. Forget the ante thing for just a second. Everyone starts with the same amount of money. First hand, the first player says, all in. What? Do you call that bluff and go all in? Or do you fold and hope they were full of shit? I don't know. How good do your cards look? Yeah, I don't think... So what I will say is I don't think we're at that point yet, but we could be. And here's why I say that. Putin already threatened, as we've talked about earlier, he already threatened that if anyone attacks Russia, the response will be beyond historical comprehension, basically. Yeah. Yeah, so from 15 hours ago, unbelievable, dude. Where is it? Hold on. Yeah, here we go. This is the line. Whoever tries to interfere with us, and even more so, to create threats for our country, for our people, should know that Russia's response will be immediate and will lead you to such consequences that you have never experienced in your history. We are ready for any development of events. Any contemplates all of them. We are ready for any development of events. All necessary decisions in this regard have been made. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about the division game. What do you mean? Yeah, that is entirely possible as well. That is entirely possible. The question there, I think, would be what type of biological threat could we be dealing with? 'Cause remember, so let's go. All right, so I want to go back to this. All right. Okay. All right. So I want to go back to this because as we've talked about, okay, Putin is very close or very careful with his words. He's a very smart individual, as dastardly as he is, and he's very careful with his words. He says whoever tries to interfere with us or create threats for our country or our people, biological warfare, depending on the nature of it, has the potential to affect people beyond those who tried to interfere with him. So the question there would be what the fuck? See, this is a part of the cause for concern, right? Are we talking about biological warfare? Are we talking about nuclear warfare? What's the extent of it? What kind are we talking about? Against whom is it going to be levied? You know, is it if one person does this, then fuck everybody in NATO? We're gonna do this to everyone? Who knows? No, I do not. I'm glad you like it when I use the word levied. Ah, man. Yep. All of the above is concerning. My word of caution to everyone in my stream, in my community. Oh, we got a new thing to ban. Nice. Would be if you think you know what's going to happen, no, you fucking don't. Shut up. Don't go telling people on the internet that you know what's going to happen, all right? That's like, Twitter's full of that shit. Nobody has any idea what the fuck is going on. Nobody has any idea where this goes from here. Just leave it alone. Just absorb information. Yeah, well, so it's funny that you say that because you're coming from a position of imagine how stressed the people who are actually in charge must be, which is true. However, I would argue that the stress of those in charge and those not in charge is the same level. It's just in a slightly different form, because part of what adds to a civilian's stress, not being in charge, is not being in charge, is not being in the briefing room, is not actually knowing what all is going on or how bad things actually are, how bad they could actually get. So I would argue, I'd be willing to bet it's probably equal levels of stress, but just for slightly different reasons. My word of caution is just don't listen to people who make absolute statements as though they know what is happening and what is going to happen with a situation like this. And don't go around talking to people and giving your perspective and making absolute statements as though you know what you're talking about. Nobody actually, like, nobody on fucking Twitter has any idea what is going on right now. The people who do have an idea of what is going on right now are not fucking posting on Twitter. I can tell you that. So, like, that's my only word of caution. Just don't go talking to everybody like you know what you're talking about, and don't listen to other people as if they know what they're talking about. Yeah, Biden has a lot on his plate, and frankly, I wish some of his dissidents would think about that. He has a shit ton on his plate right now, a lot of which was outside of his control by the time he came into office. I'm glad you think so, Allie. Yeah, I am not spouting off at the mouth on Twitter. That's for sure. You know, I'm absorbing information just like everyone else is, trying to understand things better. But at the end of the day, like, you know, think about this. Like, at the end of the day, again, Putin was the aggressor here. I mean, for all intents and purposes, he's the only one who knows how far this goes. I don't think anyone is going to overstep him in terms of response. I think that much has been made clear. And the reason for that is damage control, hopefully. Yeah, so there you go. Oh no! Oh wait, I wanted to see that fucking message. Oh wait, I can still see it. Okay. All right. Should be good. Shouldn't get that message anymore. Whoever's the mod that... oh, Paul. Nice. Paul. Reason for ban. Stupid dumb. Yep. Accurate. Thank you for keeping the chat clean, fam. Also, I added followers, comma, space primes to my blacklist on Streamlabs, so hopefully that keeps those messages out. Well, I mean, I think we've probably gone as far as we're going to with this stuff, huh? I really want to know something, though. I probably shouldn't inquire. Okay. is that your inquiry that you probably shouldn't have made? Because if so, it's not really a like controversial question that would warrant you not inquiring about it. But yes, I think Putin's calling the shots. Like, what, as opposed to what, or as opposed to whom? If we're engaging in the the hypothetical scenario. So, okay, so we already have... That's the best question. Who has a vested interest in making Russia a superpower? Yeah. Yeah. Man, it already, like, it constitutes such a fucking massive area of land. It's crazy. So we have forces in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania at this point. Yeah, no, I don't think it's going to happen. We look at this one as well. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I mean, okay. So, to go back to, Bulgaria, yeah. Your question about would the United States give up NATO territory for the sake of avoiding nuclear or biological warfare potentially? Not at least as far as this statement goes. Now, everything is subject to change literally by the second here. But at least as of Tuesday, Biden said we have no intention of fighting Russia. We want to send an unmistakable message that the United States, together with our allies, will defend every inch of NATO territory and abide by the commitments we made to NATO. So that's about as strong a statement as you can get in the moment of the United States saying to our NATO allies, we've got you. Do we think that there's any broad or scary implication to the fact that Russia now has control of Chernobyl? So what do you think? Well, the first, like, really easy thing we could say he wants from Chernobyl is just its location, because it's right here, and that is basically the closest you can get to Kiev. No, it's not a working power plant. There's a lot of radioactivity there still that, as far as I understand, is actually being contained by a concrete dome or some shit. I wonder if that's something like, hold on. Hold on. Yeah. Plant sarcophagus. Right? The shelter structure. So where is that? I wonder if you can you like actually, oh yeah. Yeah, here it is. So I don't know if this is something where where anything could be done to it. Like, I guess you could destroy the dome, right? And release whatever radioactivity has been trapped in there. Looks shiny enough. Yeah, no, I know it is it. Like, this is it. I didn't originally see it, so I'm glad we found it. So this is the general territory, or this is part of the general territory within Russian control now. Looks like a well-maintained building. Yeah, I would imagine it has to be well-maintained. But yeah, I'm asking more of like, what are the implications? Is there something they could do to weaponize Chernobyl that would actually be meaningful at this point? It's also in light of the potential more direct nuclear threats. I'm a genius? What do you mean? I don't know about that. Although I suppose I do appreciate when anyone calls me a genius. I just wish I actually thought I was one. If he blows the lid on it, a gust of wind can make the things go hundreds of miles away. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So then the question there would be, is that something that is on the table? Is it something being considered? Yep. Yep. Oh, have I said the Gen Z comments? What are those? What are the Gen Z comments? So you mean have I seen them? Hold on. What is the actual Instagram for Vladimir Putin? Daddy Putin, this is not you. Don't punish us. Have you? Oh my lord. No, I have not seen those. Oh, no doubt. Well, no, I looked up Vladimir Putin. The problem is there are numerous accounts. And I'm not sure which one is which. Hold on, I'll just Google it. Okay, it's leader Vladimir Putin. One v one me, unfucking believable. Yeah, so I can't do this shit. I'm not doing that tasteless bullshit. Like, you can do shit like this and end up with, I don't know, let me just pull this up. Not that I'm targeting anyone specific whatsoever at all, no way. You could do shit like that and end up with 126,000 fucking viewers in your stream. I'm not doing that. I think that shit is just brain dead at worst, or at best, and at worst, disgusting. Like, I'm not engaging with that shit. I don't appreciate jokes and memes about things like this. I just don't. No, I understand in the moment using jokes and funny things to cope, not comments on the internet. Nope. Nope. Like, I don't think that's in good taste. Even if it's a cope. Imagine his reaction. He's not seeing that shit. Again, he's in the middle of doing all this stuff. He's not looking on Instagram. It's the same thing with, like, the people who are in charge are not posting what the fuck is going to happen on Twitter, you know? He's not seeing that shit. Yeah, if anything, yeah, snarky shit like that probably would embolden him. Paul, just so you know, I don't want to seem dismissive. Like, I know exactly what you mean when you say people use jokes and funny things to cope. Like I said earlier, you know, I've smiled or laughed or chuckled when, like, immediately after hearing some terrible fucking news before, as a defense mechanism or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Posting online is way different than having a one-on-one conversation with a friend or a family member or something like that. You're posting on the internet for even the people who are suffering to potentially see the fucking jokes. That's not funny. Or the people who have lost family and friends already to that situation. Nah. Don't post jokes and memes on the internet about shit like this. You know, it's just, it's not justifiable. Why don't I play the Metro series on Twitch? I don't know. Maybe because I don't want to play something that is going to combine what's happening right now with video games. I do not. This is a part of why I expressed some conflict with whether to even play shooters right now. Yeah, exactly, Paul. Yep. Yeah, no, I'm not interested. Not interested. I don't even know how people are playing, like, Call of Duty and Battlefield shit right now. Halo and Destiny, like, you know, games like that, a little bit different because it's more sci-fi, but I don't know. I feel so weird because I want to play Halo or Valorant right now, but I also kind of don't. I have not fully figured out why I feel so conflicted on it, or not, at least not enough to actually decide one way or the other. But yeah, I'm definitely not interested in playing a game that is a shooter based in post-nuclear war Russia, given what's going on right now. Definitely not. And it's funny because before this actually started happening, Link in here, my friend Gav, was playing those games. And as far as I know, still on Metro 3, I think. A sense of guilt for not running for office? What? Are you talking about me not running for office? I appreciate that. And while I will say I would kind of agree with you that the world needs more people like me, kind of like you just said, I'm a new school type dude with somewhat traditional values. It's not, I don't have like somewhat traditional values. I understand traditional values. I understand where they came from. So even if I don't actually like live them out necessarily, I understand why they came to be traditional values. And I can respect that aspect of them. The problem is, based on what I've seen, even if like my archetype is one that like the broader society quote unquote needs, it sure as fuck is not one they want right now. I like, people argue with me all the fucking time. And I feel like I am one of the most middle of the road, reasonable, agreeable, and understanding, even in the face of disagreement, people I have ever known. No. It's not that I don't like to agree with you. I love agreeing with you. You just say a lot of shit I disagree with. That's all. And I don't keep my mouth shut when people say things I disagree with, generally. I do in certain circumstances, but my Twitch stream is absolutely not one of those. And I'm not a fucking tyrant. Stop throwing that word around. I don't pander. I definitely don't pander to the perspective of snowflakes. I'm not a fucking tyrant, and I'm not a despot, all right? I'm just convicted in my beliefs. And one of my beliefs is not blowing smoke up people's ass by not saying something when I disagree with what they just said. I would rather be blunt and honest, even if people are going to get mad at me and disagree with me, for the sake of more fucking truth in this world, than hide some of my truth for the sake of amassing more followers or getting along with my followers a little bit better. So, you know, Nick, like, I imagine you're going to say other stuff that's going to piss me off in the future. Do you find it a little bit interesting that I haven't banned you already? I kind of hope so. Because my perspective is, even though I disagree with a lot of the things you have said before, or at least the way you have said them before, I appreciate all sorts of perspectives. And so I'm learning from my interactions with you as well. Like, you're another one of those people where I'll have a back and forth, I'll get pissed, and like, I'll get off a stream and I'll go over the conversation we just had in my head, trying to figure out, did I say something wrong? Did you say something wrong? Like, did I misread something? Where did you misread something? If so, like, I think about these things for the sake of having better conversation, better, truthful, honest, and genuine conversation with people all the time. Whether you already agreed with me or you flat out disagree with me, I am reviewing this shit. It's like old football game tapes, right? Or old sports game tapes. That shit's running through my head all the time because I'm trying to figure out how to better interact with other people of all different kinds. You're one of the different kinds. And I would rather keep you around here for as much learning opportunity as possible, unless and until you really do cross that line and I decide you're not someone I should have in my community. If I had reached that point, you would be banned already. But you're not, because I don't agree with everything you've said, and I don't agree with the way you've said everything. But am I pretty convicted in trying to figure out how to potentially better interact with you? Absolutely. Yeah, because I do care about your perspectives. I care about pretty much everybody's perspectives. And I'm trying to learn from them. I'm glad you think about our conversations as well. That at least grants some validity to as much time as I've put into thinking about our conversations. Because if I'm thinking about them a lot and you're not thinking about them at all, I think I'm probably wasting my time. You know? Yeah, I know you're a well-meaning individual. I know that. That's why you're still here. So, but to get back to the point, the problem is nobody, generally speaking, wants my fucking perspective. Because I'll give you middle of the road shit on particular issues that the vast majority of people are absolutely not middle of the road on, and they will not accept me being middle of the road on them. They just won't. And I already know that. So, you know, I appreciate your conversations we've had, and I hope soon one day we can have a VC talk again. I completely agree, Paul. And I know we still have to have our one, all right? I haven't forgotten that shit. But, yeah, just, I mean, hey, reach out to me whenever you've got time, because it seems like I've had more time lately when it comes to my stream stuff and getting on Discord than you have. So just let me know when might work for you, and then we can just talk about shit. Maybe we could do some, like, social something, social Valorant or social Halo, or even just sit here off stream one time and have a conversation again. But yeah, you guys are one of my best learning tools. So don't fucking run away, because I need you. Yeah, finding time for it is tough. I get it. And that's why I haven't been, like, you know, bringing it up over and over and over again. Like, I already know, Paul, you and me are good. Like, we have been good based on how we handled our little disagreement. I know we're going to be good. So, like, whenever you've got time, it's cool. Until then, no stress. I enjoy having all of you in my community, which is part of why it's pissing me off that I keep losing followers. There, I said it. All right, what's the latest update? Let me check. Don't take it personally. Don't take what personally? The only thing. Sometimes Twitch does it by accident. Oh no. Oh. Okay. Yeah, you mean with the losing followers thing? No, I'm pretty sure the followers I'm losing are people that just followed me when I was in Crow's channel and never ever came to my stream and just decided to unfollow, probably clearing out their follower lists or something. It's fine. Like, it's all good. I truly don't think anything is wrong with you. I think we see eye to eye on things and hear each other out when needed. Yeah. And, like, it's not even to say we agree all the time, because we don't agree all the time, but, like, we agree in the senses that matter. And we also have the ability to just voice to one another when we disagree and hash it out respectfully. Like, it's not that fucking difficult. And again, I've said this before, this is one of the things that I want to help people on the internet do more, right? You don't have to jump down someone's throat just because they said one thing that you fucking disagree with. You don't have to do that. You know, if you need to, fine, do that. If you have to ban or block someone for your own mental health, for example, then do that. But why don't we just engage in a little bit more disagreement on the internet and get better at it? Yeah. And it's funny because one of the very few things I have ever heard someone or seen someone say in my chat before was when, Nick, you said that I pandered to the perspective of the snowflakes. That pissed me off. That one I took personally. But all the other stuff about other topics, even if I disagree with what you're saying, I don't take personally. I might get irritated by it. I might get irritated by the fact that, you know, I'm not able to understand some of the things you say as you phrase them. But that just warrants further clarification. I don't have to take it personally. Yes, you did say that. Yep, and it is, that statement remains to this day entirely inaccurate. But anyways, yeah. My dad has actually told me I felt that there were snowflakes around. You don't get to use your feeling like that. If you knew there were snowflakes, that would be one thing. But you don't. It's just this feeling you had. And even if you felt that there were snowflakes around, you don't know that what I'm saying is in the name of pandering to those people. That's a part of what pissed me off. First off, pandering has an inherently negative and disingenuous connotation to it, which I will never appreciate when someone tells me I'm pandering, ever. And then the perspective of the snowflakes was just too broad, because what do you mean when you say snowflakes? And are you saying it in a sense that would encompass something that I espouse? That's just another potential element of me taking that personally. But yeah, I'm just gonna be honest with you. That was a shitty thing to say, particularly to someone that you intend to continue interacting with. That's not a good thing to say. Not kind at all. But anyways, I think we've well enough moved past that one, unless you have some aspect of it that you want to hash out more. I think on social issues we see eye to eye on, though, and I think we have enough in common and smart things to say on each side that we can make a good point for our thoughts, which I enjoy. Yeah, yep, agreed. Agreed. It is nice having a constructive conversation. Yeah, exactly. And frankly, like, Nick, you're another one of the people that I've had constructive conversation with, even as recently as today's conversation. So, you know, I enjoyed that. Yeah, Allie, are you asking me or or Nick Cage? Fair enough. Fair enough. Like you said, no need to dig up cadavers. Understood. We can just let that be. Yeah, I'll give you my perspective, or my definition. It's sort of broad. But yeah, I can give you mine. It's okay, Nick, if you don't want to go down that road. It's perfectly fine. I appreciate you asserting your boundary and saying, actually, I don't want to talk about it. That's perfectly okay. I hate the term snowflakes because it usually refers to liberals who have a problem with misogyny or people who complain about gay people. Yeah, so like, all right, so my definition of a snowflake is basically someone who seeks to get offended by things. Right? Like, I'm offended by everything all the time. Anything that isn't like perfectly politically correct, I'm going to get offended by. Or I can't stand someone disagreeing with me, for example, I think is a snowflake's mentality, which is kind of funny, but I'm not gonna draw the link. I'll just let that link be implied. So yeah, and even setting aside the snowflake part, it like the real stinger is the word pander. At least for me particularly, and so this has nothing to do with you, Nick, but this is where we'll do the quick definition thing again. So I think that's what it is, but people use it for anyone on the left that disagrees with their thoughts. Yep, that's for sure. There are snowflakes on the right as well, like a lot of them. Okay, so pandering is to gratify or indulge an immoral or distasteful desire, need, or habit, or a person with such a desire. I will use your Merriam-Webster since you're so fucking married to Merriam-Webster. Okay. So, obviously... fuck off. Okay. So obviously I'm not a go-between in love intrigues, also known as a pimp. So I would necessarily have to be someone who caters to or exploits the weaknesses of others. No, the fuck I do not. No, I don't. Never do I do that. I don't cater to or exploit them. I will acknowledge weaknesses of others. You're welcome. You're welcome. I will remember from here on out, by the way, that you are really married to Merriam-Webster. So pandering has an inherently negative connotation to it. Another way of saying it might be virtue signaling. I do not fucking pander, and I do not virtue signal. Anything you hear come out of my mouth, unless I am obviously joking, is actually what I think. I do not pander. It's a part of why I have so fucking few followers over a year in. Because I don't pander to people's weaknesses or expectations. I'm actually almost intolerant of that expectation. You know, I know other people do it and whatever, but I don't appreciate when other people cater to or exploit the weaknesses of others either. I always take issue with it. Because if you're catering to someone's weakness, you're allowing them to maintain that weakness for even longer. That's fucking dumb. You're basically ensuring victimhood at that point. On the other hand, if you're exploiting the weaknesses of others, that's like using psychology as a means to like market to people shit that they don't need, or even further, shit that they don't need and is harmful to them, right? So like, here's a perfect example of actual pandering. Cigarette commercials. I know we don't really have those anymore, but cigarette commercials or even alcohol commercials that show nothing but hot women and good time, fun parties and like nice houses or nice environments and fucking cars and things like that, right? That's a bunch of pandery bullshit. You're exploiting people's weakness of wanting all those things and selling them fucking alcohol for it. So anyways, yeah, I don't cater to or exploit others' weaknesses. I think that is basically disgusting on both ends. I'd rather be honest with you and have you not like me. At least at the end of my time, No one will be able to say that guy was a liar. Oh, no, I wasn't. Anyways, we'll get rid of that. No, it's a whiskey. I know they're in the same family, but I was having peanut butter whiskey and Coke. So it's peanut butter Coke. Kind of interesting. It was not as good as I hoped it would be, but it also wasn't bad. Yeah, Screwball. Peanut butter whiskey, right there. Oh yeah. So this is Chivas. Yeah. Also whiskey. Again, you know, they're in the same family. I like, what's a here? I think it's like something like this, right? You're supposed to put bourbon in a whatever. Oh, nice. Yeah. Yep. Ay. There's too much. There's just too much going on. All right. Anyone have any final thoughts on the Russia-Ukraine issue at the moment? I think we fleshed it out pretty well. You know, obviously all we can do is sit here and wait and see what happens, but it's also not comfortable. Let's hope we go to Mars soon. Yeah. Yeah, something tells me we're not going to get to Mars before whatever's going to happen happens. Camera seems to be just a little bit out of focus. There we go. Wait, imagine if one of gets it right. Imagine being the gets it right. You mean imagine being the one that gets it right as far as going to Mars? Or what? The one that gets it right as it refers to what will happen with the Russian situation. Nah, I mean, it's not the ultimate I told you so. It's just a shot in the dark prediction. Your shot in the dark prediction turning out to be right does not actually give you bragging rights. It's just a fun coincidence, I guess. Well, I guess depending on the outcome, not necessarily fun, but it's just a coincidence. Is it heartless for me to say I kind of hope if shit hits the fan in Ukraine, we just evacuate it and let Russia have it instead of an all-out war? Or it proves I'm genius. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question. I don't think it's heartless to say necessarily. Yeah, but this isn't so much about geopolitical skills at this point. It's a matter of might. In the biological or nuclear warfare sense. I think the geopolitics of it, we have a pretty decent understanding of, right? So beyond that, the real question is, what is the force that is willing to be used or exercised on each side? So it may prove you've got some certain skill, I guess, with reading the resolve of our leaders. Sure. But yeah, I don't know if it's like heartless, because I know the reason you're saying that, right? So you just want to minimize harm, right? So if saying, you know what, Uncle, we give up Ukraine does definitively mean no all-out war, maybe that's something we consider. I don't even know. I can't even fully grasp at this point what type of circumstances that would really take at this point, though. Yep. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. I knew of that term. Yeah, I didn't know that was what you were looking for. I mean, that is true, right? Yeah, and I think the problem there is like, imagine the logistics. Yeah, potentially. I mean, yeah, I think it really depends. Yeah. Yep. But here's the thing, though. All of the involved nuclear powers are already aware of this issue. You know? Yeah, Allie, what's your response? I'm curious. Well, at least in theory, right? Again, the question is the threat of pushing the button an actual threat, or is it a bluff? What could also happen we haven't thought of? What if this sparks a Russian revolution? Well, I mean, it already has, in some sense, right? Well, but I mean, in a sense, it already has, right? Because there are some fairly large-scale protests that are forming in Russia at the moment. So I mean, it's an interesting interesting thing to ponder, at least in the abstract. Well, no, it's not a full out revolution. So all right, so this will be another good opportunity for you to clarify what you personally mean when you say revolution, Nick. I think you're thinking more of like the full bore, like 0 to 100. Here's a revolution. Whereas I think revolutions are generally a little bit more subtle and gradual, protests being a part of it. It's kind of like every protest could be a revolution in some sense, but not every revolution is a protest. I don't know, going with the square versus rectangle thing. There is no good response, but while I think in theory evacuating could potentially help, giving up isn't really an option. It would mean giving up the Ukrainian identity as a whole. That's true. That is true. Bless me. Yeah. So you're thinking more like full bore. You're talking violent revolution. Thank you. Yeah, you're thinking more of the end game revolution, not the small scale that leads to the full bore. Yeah, I think matters like this are always a matter of escalation. The question is, how quickly do they escalate? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yep. That sort of falls in line with what Nick is saying. Yeah, Allie, that's understandable. I think it is really hard to articulate what the Ukrainian people need. You know what I mean? I always wanted to see a civil war as something you should never actually say. I hope you're being facetious when you said that. Although I'm pretty sure, but for this whole situation, or maybe in part due to it, who knows? I guess it remains to be seen. Yo, Jason, thank you for the host. Did you? Why did I not get a notification for that? Oh, maybe because it's just you jumping on in. Yo. Yeah. Rip, I probably got it turned off. No, I don't. No, I don't. I always get host notifications. Hold on. Where would that, hold on, where would that be? I don't think I have it off. I have to gonna make 2 more stops and then play Dying Light because I bought it. Nice. Hey, do your thing. I appreciate you being part of the stream, Nick. On Twitch, they messed up and turned a bunch of people's stuff off. Oh, okay. All right, Nick, we'll see you next time. Thank you for engaging. It was good chatting with you. What do I do about this? How do I change that? Is this an account setting thing? Notification? I appreciate you too, Nick. Hold on, let me Google it.
The dealership software that like sees you, that lets you see like all the dealerships and stuff. That guy just got pissed on. Are you cheating?
I might be.
He's on a resume, absolutely.
Oh, bro.
Excuse. He's on a resume, absolutely.
Get fucked. Oh my god. That's a good shot. That's a good shot, dude. Oh shit. I had it on full screen. Ah, whatever. You guys saw it, right? You guys want me to play it again so you can actually see it on stream or what? Pro streamer, by the way. All right.
My dad has access to like the
Pro stream, dude.
like the dealership software that like sees you, that lets you see like all the dealerships and stuff. That guy just got pissed on. Are you cheating? He's on a resin, absolutely.
Bro. So, why is this... Oh, wait. Oh, were you duo queuing with someone or something like that? Yeah, that was insane. Yeah, but your name shows up here. So like, were you on a team with him or something? Or does it just do that even if you're not playing? Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah. And it was a one tap too. Crazy. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we're clear. I got you. Well, let me see. Is this a... I have no idea or no clue how he hit that shot. Yeah, I mean, just luck if I had to guess, right? Ooh, all right. Sounds good, Jason. You just let me know what cars you're looking at. He was cheating. Yeah. All right, let's see if I can actually figure this out. Settings, stream. Okay. I gotcha. So Steam Labs, alerts. Hosts enabled. Go auto hosts enabled. Aha. Aha. All right. I think we should be good on the host alert thing. We'll find out next time, huh? Hopefully there's some not at crazy upscale price. Yeah. Good luck to you. All right. Good luck, dude. I basically like we're going to be looking for a house and I'm not too confident in the pricing, although it I don't know. It came down a little bit from like the summer, but we'll see. Who knows? We're looking for one anyways because we want to own our own house and start building some equity and all that good stuff. All right. Well, what do we think, chat? Has it been enough of a discussion? Have we covered enough tonight? Yeah, I tend to agree. And I also don't want to endlessly cover it and potentially contribute too much to anybody's negative mental health or anything like that, but I did want to address it and sort of gauge the community's response and how everyone's feeling to it or feeling about it, and give just a little bit of my advice as I did, and I think that's a good enough place to leave it. So I think we shall. Tell you what, let me find someone we can raid into. Yeah, let's do this. Go into what's he doing at the moment anyways? Where'd he go? Oh, just chatting. All right. Looks like he might be doing some Elden Ring. Hey, nice. Yes, good timing indeed. Again, thank you for stopping in, Allie. It's good chatting with you again. You take care as well. Hope to see you soon. Oh, no. Oh, shit. All right. All right. What? Hello? Here we go. All right. I will see you after the weekend. Be Monday. Maybe. Might even be Wednesday. We'll see how everything goes. I'll keep you posted in Discord.
Something that it might be like crossplay between PC and Xbox. The way that the cross